Have you ever really stopped to wonder what gives a place its soul? Is it the land itself, the history, the people living there, or maybe it's something? Well, something more, a kind of mix of everything. Today, we're going deep. We're diving into Nigeria, exploring its incredible diversity by looking at four specific states: Ebonyi, Kebbi, Ogun, and Osun. We've got a stack of sources here, research articles, notes, and our mission is basically to pull out the key stuff, the really interesting facts. Think of it as your fast track to getting a real feel for these places.
Exactly. And this is more than just, points on a map. It's a chance to understand the cultures, the histories, the traditions that make each region unique, and how all these unique parts actually make Nigeria as a whole so incredibly rich. You're likely to have a few aha moments, I think.
Okay, let's kick things off in Ebonyi. Its nickname is the salt of the nation. That alone tells you something important, right?
Yep.
About its resources. But what about the people? It's mainly Igbo, but with these interesting subgroups mentioned: Eza, Izzi, Iko, Ngo, Afikpo.
Yeah, it's a great place to start. That nickname, Salt of the Nation, it's not just about the Salt Lakes, that they are important. It really speaks to a kind of cultural pride and resilience. Remember, Ebony's pretty young as a state, formed in 1996 from parts of Enugu and Abia. Abakaliki is the capital. And historically, its people were part of the old eastern region, then Biafra. So you have colonial history, missions, the war, all shaping this real spirit of self-reliance you still feel today, finding strength in their own resources, like that salt.
Right, that makes sense. That history explains a lot about resilience. So what about the culture today? What are some key traditions that really stand out?
Well, you definitely have the Iriji, the New Yam Festival. It happens in autumn, a big Thanksgiving celebration, lots of yam offerings, music, dancing, and these amazing masquerades. Then there's a Manwu, the masquerade festival itself. The masks are incredibly vibrant, and they represent ancestral spirits, teach moral lessons, like living stories. And you also have the Ekpe Festival, which seems to be a real cross-cultural event involving art, performance, and even something described as ritual judgment.
Ritual judgment. Okay, that sounds pretty intense. What exactly does that involve, and how do these masquerades stay so relevant?
Well, the ritual judgment part in Ekpe often relates to settling community disputes or maybe offering moral guidance through symbolic acts, kind of reinforcing social rules. It's a powerful community thing. And the masquerades, the festivals, they're kept alive, really, by the music. You hear the udu drum, that's the clay pot one, and the ikwe, which is a wooden slit drum, flutes, too, and lots of storytelling through song, plus those really energetic atiloglu dances. One source called it harvest rhythms trampling soil, an organic tug of land and spirit. Great description, huh? They're not just dances, they connect people to their heritage.
Harvest rhythms, trampling soil. I love that imagery. Okay, speaking of the land, let's talk food. I've heard about abakaliki rice. Is it really that big a deal?
Oh, absolutely. The diet generally is quite root-heavy yam cassava. But yes, abakaliki rice is famous, very productive, apparently fuels more than half the state's farming activity, signature dishes. Pounded yam, definitely. Served with soups like egusi, oha, or bitter leaf, these rich, flavorful stews. And grilled goat is popular, too. That reliance on staples really shows that connection to the land.
So does that connection show up in how people dress or in their crafts?
For sure. You see colorful wrappers, agbada robes, George cloth, lots of coral beads in everyday wear. But for the Manwu festival, the masquerade outfits are incredibly elaborate. Each one is like a piece of art symbolizing a spirit. And there's real craftsmanship in things like the udu clay jars, wood carvings, local weaving. The sources call it crafting symbols of identity and ceremony. So yeah, it's more than just making things. It's about expressing who they are.
Okay, shifting from culture to the land itself. What's the geography like in Ebonyi?
It's pretty varied, actually. You've got cross-Niger transitional forest down south, but more of a savanna mosaic up north, and rivers crisscrossing it, the cross, Aboni, Asu, Ezeaku, all important for life there.
And what about plants and animals? What thrives there?
Well, there's a lot of farmland, about 12% of the area. Forests, too, obviously the Salt Lakes we mentioned, and crops like cashew, oil palm, and yam fields. Wildlife-wise, you'd find forest creatures like monkeys, bush pigs, and quite a variety of birds.
If you are visiting, what landmarks really capture the essence of Ebonyi?
The capital, Abakaliki, for one, it's busy, known for its rice mills, and has this sort of iconic fairground roundabout. But the real natural stars are the Okopozi and Uburu Salt Lakes. They shimmer, apparently. They're beautiful, but also key to the state's identity and economy. And then you've got scenic spots like Mamekor Cave and Onwana and Ndibi Sand beaches along the Cross River. Nice places to see the natural beauty.
What about the people? Any prominent figures or institutions from Ebonyi making a wider impact?
The population was around 2.9 million back in 2016 across 13 local government areas, or LGAs. And yes, some significant names come from Ebonyi. Anim, Pius Anim, a former Senate president. Chris Abani, the author, his work often explores identity. And Uche Ezekwe, a notable scholar. Also, Ebonyi State University and its teaching hospital are really important hubs for education, research, and healthcare in the region.
And finally, for Ebony, language. What would you hear, and are there any local greetings we should know?
Mostly you'll hear Igbo dialects. English is the official language, of course, and there's a bit of Ibio influence from neighbors. Simple Igbo greetings go a long way, like Kedu, that's how are you, or Nanu, which means welcome. Simple things, but they really show warmth.
Okay, great. So from the south of the nation, let's head northwest now to Kebbi State, nicknamed the land of equity and also the land of hospitality. Sounds like a place with strong values. It's got diverse groups, Kabawa, Zuru, Yari, mainly Muslim, but with older Hausa and Songhai influences layered underneath. How does that history shape its identity today?
That's a key point. Kebbi's identity is really steeped in history. It wasn't just created, it emerged as the powerful Kebbi kingdom back in the 16th century, led by Muhammad Kanta Kotal. And this kingdom was strong. It actually resisted invasions from both the Songhai Empire and the Kanem-Bornu Empire, which were huge powers back then. So that legacy of independence, mixed with its later involvement in the Fulani Jihad under Usman Dan Fodio, it all feeds into its modern identity. It became a state in 91, split from Sokoto. And that name, Land of Equity, seems to reflect a deep-seated value, maybe born from that complex past.
Wow, resisting Songhai and Kanem-Bornu. That's quite a legacy. So what about festivals? Are there any that really showcase this history and culture?
Oh, you absolutely have to talk about the Argungu Fishing Festival. It's famous across Africa. It's a 4-day event, started way back in 1934. And interestingly, it actually marks a historical peace deal between communities. It's got this huge fishing competition, a durbar, dancing, cultural shows, the works. Then there's the Yauri Regatta Festival, usually in March. Lots of dancing, music, wrestling, and exciting canoe races. And the Zuru Uhola Festival is more focused on ancestral rites, bringing in that spiritual dimension.
These sound less like just parties and more like living history lessons. How important is music in bringing these festivals to life?
Hugely important. The soundscape is rich. You hear talking drums, frame drums, flutes, often with praise chanting that tells the stories behind the festivals. The Regatta Festival, for example, is said to use rhythms that are over 500 years old. That's a direct link back to the old Kebbi kingdom we talked about. It's really immersive.
Okay, and food.
Yeah.
With a massive fishing festival, I'm guessing fish is pretty central.
You guessed right. Staples include things like millet, rice, sorghum, maize, beans, onions, typical for the region. But yeah, the fish, especially during Argungu season, is the star. From the River Sokoto and Matafada, they smoke it, grill it, make these amazing spicy pepper soups, fresh, local, delicious.
And what about traditional clothing? What do people wear, especially for these big events?
The clothing is often quite elegant. You see flowing robes called babanriga, distinctive caps, hula, and veils. During the festivals, like the Durbar or Regatta, the outfits get even more elaborate. Rich fabrics, detailed embroidery. And in Zuru, dancers might wear outfits with ancestral symbols woven in, so the clothes themselves tell stories.
Let's talk geography. What does the landscape of Kebbi look like?
Northern Kebbi is mostly Sudan savanna grassland with scattered trees. The Niger and Rima rivers are crucial. They run right through it. It's also interesting that about 30% of the state borders on more desert-like conditions, so you see a bit of climatic shift there.
And what kind of plants and animals does that environment support?
Well, the rivers support a lot of fish, obviously, and the land is good for livestock, cattle, goats, even camels. There's various wildlife, too, sustained by the rivers and fisheries. You'll also see those iconic baobab trees and other savanna species.
You mentioned historical sites. The Kanta Museum and the Surme ruins sound particularly interesting.
They really are. The Kanta Museum is in Argungu. It was established way back in 1831. It's full of history artifacts, old weapons, traditional drums, really brings the Kebbi kingdom story alive. And the Surme historic ruins, these are actual remnants of fortified walls from the kingdom era, a powerful visual reminder of its past strength and its struggles. The capital, Birnin Kebbi, is also a major center.
Besides the founder, Muhammad Kanta Kotal, are there other key figures or main population centers we should know?
The main towns are Birnin Kebbi, Argungu, Yauri, and Zuru. Each has its own sort of flavor, contributing to the state's diversity. Kanta Kotal is definitely the towering historical figure because of the kingdom. Contemporary figures are obviously shaping the state now, particularly in politics and education, but our sources focus more on the historical context here.
Right. And finally, for Kebi languages,
Mhm.
what's spoken and any unique local phrases.
It's quite linguistically diverse, actually. Hausa is the main language, sort of lingua franca, but you also hear Zarma, Kamberi, Ngaski, Shanga. The sources say over 50 languages and dialects are recorded there. A great phrase linked to the Argungu festival, capturing that spirit of the event, is Gada Nikogi. It means cross the river, really sums up the challenge and community effort.
All right, from the historical depth of Kebi, let's head south now to Ogun State, known as the Gateway State, home to several major Yoruba subgroups, Egba, Ijebu, Remo, Egbado, Owori, Egun. It feels like a place where industry meets deep tradition. How does that gateway idea play out?
That's a good way to put it. Ogun was created in 1976 from the Old Western State. Abeokuta is the capital. And Abeokuta's name is fascinating. It means under the rock, which points directly to its geology, but also its history as a refuge. It was founded around 1830 by Egba people escaping the chaos of the collapsing Oyo Empire. So those rocks weren't just landscape, they were protection, a foundation for a new start. That gives Gateway State a deeper meaning than just location. It's a gateway to safety, to new beginnings.
Wow, under the rock. That's powerful. Given that kind of history, what are the standout festivals in Ogun?
Oh, the festivals are grand. You have the Ojudoba in Ijebu Ode. It's after Eid, a huge celebration with parades of different age groups, everyone showing off incredible Erso Oke fabrics, paying respects to the traditional ruler, the Awuchali. It's a real spectacle. And in Oda, there's the Eigen Mode Cultural Festival. This one celebrates the Wari heritage. And you see these really striking Igungan masquerades bringing ancestral spirits to life. Very visually powerful.
Ogun is also legendary for its music, right? A real birthplace for some major genres.
Absolutely undeniable. Ogun is where Yuju music legends like King Sunny Ade and Ebenezer Obey came from. Their sound, blending Yoruba drums with electric guitars, basically defined modern Nigerian pop for a long time. But it doesn't stop there. Modern stars like Kiz Daniel have roots here. And tragically, the late Dagrin, a huge pioneer in Yoruba rap, was also from Ogun. So yeah, the sound of Ogun is this amazing mix, classic Juju, Fuji, Afrobeat, hip-hop, all with this really vibrant drumming underneath. It's a state that keeps innovating musically.
Okay, and the food. What's Ogun known for, culinarily speaking?
Well, it's famous for ofada rice. That unique local variety is mostly grown right there in Ogun. Beyond rice, it's big on poultry, cassava, yams, cocoa, cola nuts, rubber, palm oil. A real agricultural powerhouse. And on the street, you'll find staples like suya, those delicious grilled meat skewers, and all sorts of traditional Yoruba soups like egusi or iwidu. The food really reflects the state's natural bounty.
And how does all this culture, the history, the music, the food, show up in traditional clothing?
Yoruba fashion is just spectacular in Ogun. You see gorgeous asaoke, bright Ankara prints, George wrappers. Men often wear elegant agbada robes, and women wear beautiful jelly head wraps or fila caps. During festivals, particularly the Igungan ones in places like Ota among the Owori, the costumes are incredibly intricate, layer upon layer, full of symbolism. Truly wearable art reflecting deep spiritual beliefs.
Physically, what's the terrain like in this gateway state?
It ranges from Guinea savanna grasslands with trees to these really distinctive rock formations. The most famous is Olumo Rock in Abeokuta, which looks like a natural fortress. And the Ogun River, which gives the state its name, is vital. It supports agriculture, think rice, cola nuts, rubber, and also the growing industries there. It's the state's lifeline, really.
What are the must-see landmarks in Ogun?
Abeokuta, definitely. For Olumo Rock, also its historic Centenary Hall and the Oyen Dam. Ijebu Ode is key for the Ojud Oba festival, but also has the Bilikisu Sungbo Shrine, fascinating place with legends connecting it to the Queen of Sheba. And Oda is important historically for the Egan Mode Festival, and it also has Nigeria's second ever story building, showing that early colonial architectural influence. These places aren't just sites, they're anchors to the past.
Ogun has also produced some giants of Nigerian society. Can you name a few?
Oh, absolutely. Politically, you have former President Olusegun Obasanjo, the famous politician and businessman MKO Abiola, and the Nobel Prize winner Wole Soyinka, a literary giant. Business leaders like Mike Adenuga are from Ogun, and artists too, like we mentioned Dagrin. It's an incredible concentration of influential people, really reinforcing that gateway idea, people from Ogun opening doors for Nigeria internationally.
And wrapping up Ogun languages and local expressions.
It's predominantly Yoruba dialects. You'll hear Egba, Ijebu, Remo, Owori variations, reflecting the different groups. English is used for government and business. A really common friendly greeting is bauni. It just means, how are you? Simple and welcoming.
Okay, our final state for this deep dive is Osun, the state of the living spring. Though it used to be called the land of virtue. Sounds very spiritual. It's described as a Yoruba heartland, home to groups like the Igbermina, If, Ijesha, deeply connected to ancestral worship, Ifa divination, and especially the river goddess Osun. What gives it that living spring title?
Living Spring really captures its profound spiritual essence. You have Aili If, revered in Yoruba tradition as the place where humanity began, the home of Oduduwa, the cradle of Yoruba civilization itself. That's central. Osun State was formed in 91 from Old Oyo State, and it just naturally absorbed these incredibly ancient pre-colonial legacies. The Living Spring is quite literally embodied by the Osun River, seen as the source of life, healing, spiritual power. So ancient beliefs are very much alive and centered around it.
That link between myth and modern identity is really potent. And Osun is home to the Osun Osogbo Festival, which is known worldwide, right?
Absolutely. It's a huge annual event, 12 days in August, honoring the goddess Osun. It draws pilgrims, tourists, art lovers from everywhere. What makes it globally significant is the Osun Osogbo Sacred Grove. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's this amazing forest filled with shrines and sculptures, and it was famously revived and protected by an Austrian artist, Suzanne Wenger. Her work there brought massive international attention and helped preserve it. It's a powerful example of how tradition can gain global standing.
Amazing story with Suzanne Wenger. Are there other important festivals in Osun besides Osun Osogbo?
Yes, definitely. There's Alojo in Ife. Its name means Day of First Dawn, celebrating creation. There's Ivuda in Ilesa, lots of Egungun masquerade festivals across the state. And Agbaliku in Aranoki. These are all filled with traditional music, lots of talking drums, bata drum ensembles, powerful praise singing. Asen also gave us cultural giants like Chief Duro Ladipo, the playwright who brought Yoruba myths to the stage, and the artist Twin 77, a real legacy of creativity.
Okay, turning to food. Any signature dishes or staples unique to Osun?
Yes, there's a fantastic signature snack called Dodo Isher. They're these unique black fried plantain balls from a town called Ir. Sweet, savory, really distinct. Otherwise, the staple diet includes classics like fufu, amala, iba, usually served with rich soups like ikusi iudu or mgbiji, often made with local palm oil. Comforting, hearty food.
And how does this rich cultural tapestry influence traditional dress in Osun?
Similar to Ogun, you see lots of beautiful Yoruba attire. Asooke, Ankara, Agbada, Jele, Fila. Often very colorful, with intricate local weaving patterns. And during the big festivals like Alojo or Osun Osogbo, the ceremonial costumes, especially the Igungun masks, are just breathtaking. So elaborate, so symbolic, each one is a masterpiece, really.
The natural wonders sound incredible, too. Tell us more about the Sacred Grove and the Aaron-Ijesha waterfalls.
The Osun Osogbo Grove, being a UNESCO site, is special. It's not just trees. It has over 400 species of medicinal plants, plus all those amazing sculptures honoring Yoruba deities, orishas like Usun and Ogun. It feels sacred. And Aaron-Ijesha waterfalls, also called Alumarin, they're stunning. 7 distinct levels cascading down. They've been considered sacred since around 1140 AD, so it's both natural beauty and deep spiritual significance. The area's also got interesting wildlife because it's a mix of forest and savanna. Things like mona monkeys, royal antelope, kestrels, even chimps and forest elephants, though probably harder to spot, adds to the richness.
Beyond nature, what are the key towns and landmarks in Osun?
Well, Osogbo is the capital, and it's the hub for the Sacred Grove, especially known for Suzanne Wenger's sculptures. Then you have Isla Life, the ancient ancestral city. You can see the Uni's Palace, the traditional ruler's home, and the Ife National Museum is a must-see for its ancient terracotta and bronze art. Incredible stuff. There's also the Mbari Arts Center for more contemporary art and various other royal palaces dotted around the state, each holding its own history.
Osun is also known for having a highly educated population, right?
Yes, it has a reputation for that. The population was about 4.7 million in 2016. And it's home to major institutions like Obafemi Awolowo University, a really well-respected university. And Osun has produced some very influential figures. Pastor Enoch Adeboye of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, a global figure. The musician Davido has roots there. And artists like Duro Ladipo and Twin 77 we mentioned, plus the famous Nike Art Gallery started there. So big impacts spiritually and culturally.
Okay, last one for Osun, language and local flavor.
It's primarily Yoruba dialects again, but with specific regional variations recognized as UNESCO classics, Ifa, Ijesha, Igbomina, Oyo, Ibolo. English is used officially. A really inspiring local expression you might hear, sometimes used in slogans, is imole. It means light. It kind of captures a feeling of hope, guidance, and the state's spiritual core.
Wow. What an incredible journey that was, diving deep into Ebony, Kebi, Ogun, and Osin.
Oh,
Hopefully this has given you a much richer sense of Nigeria's amazing diversity, cultural, historical, natural.
absolutely. And like we said, this is really just scratching the surface. But hopefully it helps you appreciate how these very distinct regional identities, tied to salt or fishing or ancient rocks or living springs, how they all weave together into the bigger, complex, fascinating story of Nigeria. Each thread is important.
So, maybe something to think about. In our increasingly globalized world, how do these deeply rooted local identities and traditions manage to survive, even thrive? How do they keep shaping their communities while also adding to Nigeria's unique place on the world stage? And maybe, what parts of these unique cultures feel most vital to carry forward for the future?